Hi, I'm Rebecca Hope, the Executive Director of Mid-Metro Academy, a homeschool academy in Roseville, Minnesota. I'd like to speak with you in this short video about how you can homeschool your student through high school. This is part 2. You can check for our previous part 1, which talked about why you should homeschool your student through high school and the benefits that you can gain from doing that. So now let's talk about how to actually go about this homeschool through high school journey. So the answer, can you do it? Our enthusiastic response at Mid-Metro Academy is yes, you definitely can. And with the help of Mid-Metro Academy and other great resources, it may be much easier than you even think. So let us show you how. This will just talk about the laws in Minnesota related to homeschooling and how you can comply with those when you decide to homeschool your high school student. First, if you are the parent or legal guardian, you are eligible to homeschool the student all the way through grade 12. What you must do is report your intent to homeschool to your school district. Wherever you live, the district, the public school district that covers that area, needs to receive a report from you by October 1st of each year, telling them that you have opted to homeschool your student. That applies if the student is between the ages is 7 through age 16. Before and after that, you may want to report. You're not required to, but if you are going to take advantage of PSEO, post-secondary enrollment options for the older student over age 16, you will have to keep reporting to your district that you are homeschooling. We strongly recommend that you use the MACHE, Minnesota Association of Christian Home Educators form, is the intent to homeschool form, rather than any form that the school district might make available to you or recommend to you. You may use the MACHE form. You are not required to use the form that your district sends you. The reason you should use the MACHE form is that it gives the minimal amount of information required by law. It's important for homeschoolers to not grant more power to the government than the current law provides them, because that can become a slope where what you give them then can become easier to require, right? So we just want to provide the minimum amount available by law, and the school district doesn't really need to have anything more than that. So the MACHE form will give the minimal amount of information that the law requires. Now, this law also requires that you document the student's work and that you administer a standardized test each year, a norm referenced standardized test. There are many available to homeschoolers. You do not have to do one that your school district requires. The school district does get to approve the test that you use. That is something that you report each year, but it's usually just a rubber stamp as long as it is a recognized nationally norm referenced test. And then you, according to the law, would need to be able to provide information about the homeschooling that you're providing if it is ever requested. This almost never happens, but if the superintendent decided to make a home visit, you would need to be able to produce the files and the records of your homeschool for the perusal of the superintendent or the superintendent's representative. Now, here's something that often parents ask, and that is, can my student be homeschooled and still participate in the public school sports team or teams? And the answer is yes. That is a right guaranteed to you by the law. Your district must allow homeschool students to participate in the public school sports. And even beyond that, you may be able to take other single classes at the homeschool, even while, at the public school while you are homeschooling. So let's say there was a language that your student had gotten started in a lower grade, like Mandarin Chinese, for example, and it's really hard for you to find that class anywhere else. You can make arrangements with the public school to keep taking that course, but all the rest of the courses your student takes would be through the homeschool and not the public school. So those are all ways that the public school and the homeschool can interact and indeed must interact if you desire, because of the guarantee in the state law. So let's get a little bit more in depth now. When it says document your student work, what are we talking about? Well, you would want to keep copies of student schedules. You need to say how many days of the year and which days of the year your school is in session. Usually it doesn't have to be in great detail, but it could. You could just have a calendar showing all the days that your school meets. Or you can just make a blanket statement such as, we follow the school district's calendar. And then when the school district has a day off, then your school can take a day off as well. And then when you get into it, if you modify it a little bit, that's no big deal. But in general, that schedule is asked for as part of the documentation. Then you should also document the courses that your student takes each year for each grade: first grade, second grade, fifth grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, so on. So have a list of those courses that were taken each year. You should also at least note the instructional materials that were used. You could give the name of the textbook. You could keep the textbooks for the year. You could take a photocopy of the textbook and the table of contents, or whatever you feel. And maybe it's not a textbook. Maybe it's a Khan Academy course that your student did by video online. You could just note the content of that, maybe take a screenshot and print that out, right? So something that shows what materials were used in that class. Then also you should have a description of the way that you assess progress for each class. So it could be different for each class. So maybe you're going to use a textbook, science textbook, that has unit tests, and you're going to document progress by your students' grades on the unit tests. So just a statement in your records saying that that is how you will assess the students' progress. But it doesn't have to be that formal. You could say that you are assessing progress by oral discussion. So you have your student read a chapter of a history book, and then you discuss it over supper or while folding the laundry. And then you see if the student comprehended the key points that were covered in that chapter, right? And that could be the description of how you assess progress. You could assign a written paper. You could assign a project. You could assign an oral report. So any of these things, or multiple, mix and match, just jot down on some piece of paper or type into a file what your methods are to show that the student was covering and retaining the information covered in that program. Any type of filing system that you develop is fine. If you've got a physical 4-drawer filing cabinet and you keep, copies of workbooks and grades and tests in there, that is fine. If you have a day planner and have that filled out with things, that's fine. If you keep copies of the scope and sequence for a certain curriculum that you're using in paper form, that's fine. If you create Word documents or other files on your computer, that's fine, right? So nothing is specified about what that has to look like, just that you document your students' work in those 4 areas noted. Now, one thing that you do want to make sure to do, and that this will be gone into in a later presentation about the 4-year plan and transcript, and that is that when the student begins 9th grade, you should begin building the high school transcript for the student. You are responsible to create that transcript, even if the student takes classes elsewhere, like at Mid-Metro Academy, or other things here and there. You are the one who pulls it all together into a high school transcript. And there will be more information on that in a separate presentation. Just make sure that you keep that in mind, that that's one of your jobs as a homeschooler, is to begin building that high school transcript in 9th grade. Actually, it's not a legal requirement, but it's more important than a legal requirement. It is something that you'll be doing for your students' benefit. So make sure that you begin that transcript in 9th grade, when your student starts 9th grade. So the state law also does specify what your student should be learning each year. That includes basic communication skills, including reading and writing, literature, and fine arts, math and science, social studies, which includes history, geography, economics, government, and citizenship, health and physical education. So those are the things that the law specifically states home schools and non-public schools must be teaching students. So maintain your records, make sure that you have covered these required areas each year, and have something documented in each of these 4 categories to show that they are being covered by your homeschool each year. All right, so we actually are blessed in Minnesota to live in a homeschool-friendly state, and this is because early homeschoolers, pioneers, paved the way and got legislation passed that is friendly to homeschoolers. That's for the present, for the time being, but Mache, our homeschool organization statewide, expects that there will be further attempts to tighten homeschool laws next year in next year's session. For that, I would recommend that you join Mache, and they send out legislative updates so that you can be kept informed of what's going on with that. Also, you may want to support candidates who support school choice. You can ask your candidates for the state Senate and state House if they are supporting school choice. And specifically, you can follow a group called Opportunity for All Kids, Minnesota. The website's there, and they have introduced legislation. They have state reps and state senators who have the same legislation that they're willing to put forward for education savings accounts. And this would give each family, for each student, about $7,000 to go where the student goes, so where the money follows the student. So if we have enough legislators and senators who would be willing to back that legislation, that could give much needed financial help to those who want to pursue non-public school options. When things like that come up, when anything comes up that might threaten homeschooling, you can be sure to phone and email your state rep and senator to advocate for education freedom in Minnesota. Here's an example of a rally that I went to this past year. In the past 2 years, there have been 3 very significant pieces of legislation that were halted because of consumer involvement, and all 3 of those that would have affected the homeschool movement. So it makes a difference. So these people that come out in force and let their voices be heard and contact their legislators, that really does have an impact. So please do that if you're a believer in homeschooling and educational choice. And the good thing about that too is that you are modeling active citizenship for your students when you do that. Get them down there to the state capitol for a rally with you, and they will see citizenship in action in that way. So the choice is yours. You do have the opportunity to homeschool your student in the state of Minnesota. So if you decide to homeschool your teenager, the Minnesota law is on your side. Fellow homeschoolers are on your side. Of course, we at Mid-Metro Academy are on your side, and all of our teachers. And there's our lovely administrator, Heather Hawes, who is there to provide a welcoming environment to you when you come to Mid-Metro Academy for classes. So ultimately, it's your choice. You can design the ideal high school experience for your student and for your family for the coming school year. And there's our website. We hope to see you in our classes this coming fall. Thanks.